Welcome to the Wealth Transfer. Last time we talked about the Chinese, the Silk Road, and gold. Wait till you see where it's going. Stay tuned. All right, let's get into this one because I like this topic. Maybe I'm a little partial because I happen to find gold and silver is we the people's money. Now, a lot of folks, they get into the concept, well, gold doesn't move, silver doesn't move, and I don't really like it. I can profit in other places. I just caution the thinking because what you think you're making, believe it or not, silver has been very competitive to the stock market this year alone. In returns, I think they're almost equal, and I think silver is a little bit better than that. So be cautious on what you think you're actually making because in the paper world, you don't have that flexibility because it's all paper. It doesn't have title. Where in actual tangible assets, you own it. It's yours. And it's the ultimate protection preservation. All I know is, especially being on the refining and the minting side of that world, the rest of the world's taking it serious. Why? You see? Because I think the world really does know. Well, I know they do. It's not I think. They know that the dollar reserve status is going down. They know that the dollar is losing its hegemony and its ability to control. Granted, we have SWIFT. What's SWIFT? Interbank transfer system. So if Italy wants to buy a TV from Germany, they go to the SWIFT system, they do the money transfer, and then they get the money routed that way. The United States controls the SWIFT, but we've been using that hegemony as manipulation as well. I mean, we have taken it to people. If you don't do what we say, we cut you off of the SWIFT. Makes business a little more difficult for countries when they can't do that. Of course, we just did that to North Korea. What I'm getting at is we control it. So that gives us what? A little bit of brawn, but not for long. Because Russia has already created its very own SWIFT system. So Russia and China are already doing it. The BRIC groups are engaging in it. And wait till you see over the next handful of episodes where we're going to get into showing you how these other countries are already taking advantage of getting away from the dollar and going into the Chinese yuan. Folks, this is huge because as our dollar loses its reserve status, and you need to understand how that really works, just know that in the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, there's a basket, and in that basket is a handful of currencies. They used to be, the United States dollar, the euro, the yen, the pound. The franc kind of, that stuff was reserve. These were currencies you could trade in. Well, the Chinese last October just got accepted into that reserve basket. So that's right. They're now one of the reserve currencies. They are positioning, and as we showed last episode, how they're positioning around the world strategically. Now, many think, okay, good, fine, let them have it. But remember, folks, they're well over 1 billion people to our 300 million, and they're pretty smart. And they're communists, so they'll just kill you if they disagree with you inside the country. They'll kidnap you. They'll do any atrocity they want because they're communists. So they have a little advantage in that sense. Their currency is dominating the world in a new way. And other countries that are tired of the U.S. hegemony, which is a fancy word, how about just pushing us around, are moving that direction. And folks, I got to tell you, 20 trillion in debt, in just our national debt, not counting 60 to 70 trillion in unfunded liabilities for Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and all of the other expansions, let alone Obamacare, which is completely blowing the guts out of the whole entire middle class. But I think that was by design to take us to socialism. So it's just an ideological indifference in our nation, that's all. But I know the world knows. They know we cannot, as J.P. Morgan said last episode, we cannot continue credit and think that there's not a reckoning coming. I understand year over year it seems like things are okay, but just because it seems like it's okay doesn't exactly mean it is. So you have to be very cautious to this. Why? Because as I'm going to keep outlining, they in the East are preparing. They're buying these tangible assets. They are getting out of the dollar. Why? Because they know what's coming. I just want we the people to know. I see the Chinese everywhere. They dominate Africa. They dominate South America. They're paying cash for iron ore mines, gold mines. They put mega billions. The largest refinery in the world in Saudi Arabia, that's right, Chinese. They built it. So, and I see them doing this. Now, I know some people will say, oh, but they have 1.2 trillion of dollar reserves. Well, do they? And I mean serious. Now, I have no evidence of this. Almost everything I say, I have evidence back. This one's my opinion, but I wouldn't be surprised, because they're paying cash all the time for these things. I wouldn't be surprised if they're out there running around buying up the gold mines and the iron ore mines and all the tangible assets with the dollar reserves and just telling the world they still have them. They're communists, so of course they're going to lie to you, right? So understand they're doing it. Why aren't we, the people, doing it as much as we should be? So check this one out. This is, I call India gold demand. Look at from the left side, which is only 2008, by the way, folks. I didn't go back to 9/11 on this. Bring it all the way up to close to today. Skyrocketing demand from 1,000 tons up to 16,000 tons of gold in that short period of time. Isn't that staggering? Why are they doing it? Again, and how is it going to impact us? Because as they're preparing for the dollar to come off of the reserve status, when they're preparing for this dollar to crash, and I mean crash in valuation, these assets go through the roof, and it's a way to hedge and protect themselves from it. That's why. Look at the Russian central bank gold reserves. Now, they were leveled off there for a while, all through the 90s and the 2000s. They were just kind of flat line hanging out. And then look what happened come 2008. That's right, a massive increase in gold reserves. Now, look at this one I love the best. Chinese gold production plus net imports. Look at that staggering increase. And that one goes back to, 1980 all the way up. But you see the real pickup, of course, is at 2008 and above. And look at that trajectory. That is stunning in cumulative tons of gold. Now, the reason they're getting into this, again, is beyond the stuff I'm saying, of course, is the dollar hegemony and the reserve. They know real tangible wealth. They always have. If you go through history, the Indians especially, they've seen it because they had the colonialization from the British. They've seen the currencies go to zero. Every currency in the history of the world has gone to zero. Now remember what I said, currency, not money. People don't notice the difference. I know. They want us to believe that these paper notes currency notes are money. They're not. Money is an item that is a storage of value over time. Currencies decrease in value over time until they implode and then go to zero. Every fiat goes to zero. Somehow we're defying gravity, right? I don't think so. And I just think the reason I'm saying it this way, I think for whatever reason, well, it is what it is, but we just happen to be in this time, folks. We happen to be in the time when the Chinese in the East are rising, and the West has kind of burned out its welcome and it burned out its resource. Now we're hanging on. Wait till you see the military stuff I'm going to show you, but we're hanging on with our strength and our muscle, the hegemony kind of like do as we tell you because we're dominant. But they're rising, and it's coming quickly, especially with Russia. Why do you think they're trying to go to war with Russia so bad? It's not the Russians that they're the aggressors, folks. I could show you the military maps. It's we, the people in the West, that are the aggressors. And they say, well, they took Crimea. Of course they're going to take Crimea. That's the largest underwater cave system in the mountains there that hold their nuclear fleet, submarine fleet. And warm water, the only warm water port that Russia has. It always belonged to Russia, back to Catherine the Great. We're going to get into a little more of Ukraine because I think you'll be quite surprised at that whole failed attempt, coup attempt in Ukraine, per se. was by us, started by us, and we failed. They were miserably failing throughout the last 7 years or so. It's been incredible in these military ops and the psych ops they've been trying to pull on the world with these false flags. It's just incredible. And what's amazing is how many innocent lives have been destroyed over it, right? So the world is getting into it, and we need to stay focused. So I encourage you, continue to be educated. Get educated. Cornerstone's going to be a great place to start, there's no doubt. And don't forget to check on Facebook, folks. Like Cornerstone on Facebook. It'll be like a newsletter because you'll get real pertinent articles and up-to-date things that are taking place that you're not probably getting anywhere else. So I do have to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Terrorism, a volatile stock market, rising food costs, natural disasters. Every day our economy is at risk, but your assets should not be. Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked so hard to gain. Whether you have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, our accredited asset management specialists are here to support you. Call now and we'll send you urgent information regarding changes to the dollar and challenges to our economy that you need to be prepared for. Learn how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA. We can even arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or send it directly to your home. Do not delay. Call 888-747-3309 or register online at cornerstoneassetmetals.com today. Invest in precious metals and create security in your future today. Call now.
Welcome back. So I am really big on protection and preservation, as you can see, because I know that as a watchman, and I say watchman, that we in the kingdom that have the ability to see or have the knowledge to understand, we have a duty to at least spread that information. I asked God one time, I said, God, sometimes people, they just don't care. And he finally kind of hammered me and he says, I just want you to get it out. For those that will listen, you do what you can. And for the rest, just leave to me. And so I get it. But all I know is the world has taken an epic shift. And it's going away from America, and it's going towards the East. And something is bigger than I think most Americans realize. And all I know is it's going to impact our standard of living is why, the concern is there. So the Silk Road gold demand. Between 2005 and 17, 4 Silk Road countries have bought, like I was saying, 28,000 tons of gold. But how much gold is there left in the Western central banking system? Think about that one. Look at this here. And when I say Western central bank, I want you to grab onto that. Where's the gold coming from that's going over there to the BRICS in the East? It's coming from the West. Now, in this graph here, this is Swiss gold imports. They have been draining our vaults, taking our gold and silver because we're not doing it ourselves as the people, and the governments are buying time in the West. As you see in this graph, that big, huge, epic blue line, in July of 2017, 50% of Swiss imports came from the United Kingdom. Most of that is probably, CBs in selling or leasing. Folks, that's what I want to get at, because when it goes to Switzerland, if you've noticed on this one, it says, that's what I was thinking there. It goes into the Hong Kong region. So just know as I'm telling you, as the gold is leaving, Chicago is our market system. Then you got London, which is supposedly the global gold. And then you go to Hong Kong. And I haven't gotten into Shanghai. Wait until we get into that stuff, because wait till you see what Shanghai is doing with oil. But the gold and silver is leaving the West. You see, they're draining us. And I'm a real big fan of, a proponent of, I've seen it in trades. This is kind of a debate in the financial world, but I've seen some things that I'm pretty convinced I'm right. The Chinese are working with the American Western system to manipulate the pricing down. Why? Get in their fill, you see. They're trying to take up as much as they can of the world's gold and silver. When this thing hits, when I call this tsunami takes place, they will stand up and then go to the world. Oh, by the way, and the market system will tell you the Chinese have like 5,000 tons. That is such a lie. I think they're going to come out when this thing hits and go, by the way, world, we have more gold than the IMF, Europe, and the United States combined. I think you can trust us more than them. When this hits, the reason these nations are using the gold and silver hedge, they know that these currencies are getting ready to implode, and they're preparing a hedge against that. And so it's a positioning issue, but they're not stopping. They continue to eat that supply. And to the tune of, this is shocking to me. You can do your research on this if you want to the tune of, in the COMEX system in the United States, it's where we are supposedly trading what they call the futures contract in the commodities market. The futures contract controls the gold and silver pricing of the physical. But let me tell you something, folks. This stuff, this is real, you see? This is physical, not that paper contract. Because what they're doing in that market is they're controlling it through derivative manipulation, meaning they're selling way more gold and silver than they ever have in the vaults. And here's the statistic on it. Look at the graph. I should have probably brought it and showed you, but if you saw the COMEX inventory has literally collapsed to nothing. We're almost empty of gold and silver, folks, in the West, next to we the people. This is astonishing. So is London. So I contend that they're making the argument in the central banking world, it's old, it's archaic, it's no value. All through history, it's had value. All through history, it's proven to hold value. And we're getting ready to see something all over again where it will be of value. If 10%, just 10% of the contracts that are sold in the futures market, 10% of them stood for physical delivery, the COMEX would default. Think about that. Now, they're in fungible contracts. That futures contract is technically fungible. And when I say fungible in the finance world, they say it's interchangeable with maybe a treasury or a currency. So what they've been doing over these years, while the physical has been leaving, going to the east, they've been forcing some people that say, hey, I want the physical. When this contract ends in the futures market and I want to take delivery, they've been coercing at every level to make them take cash or treasury instead. There was one period there where we had an epic shift in the supply when silver dropped below 26, and it was gone. And more contracts stood for delivery than they had physical in the COMEX. And were they scrambling for months to find the physical to fulfill those contracts? I'm just merely telling you, folks, when it hits, there will not be anything left. And if our COMEX is that empty, and London is going empty, but yet the East is not, I don't really believe they're stupid. You see, I think they're smarter than we are, to be honest. But I think we're so focused on this global socialist order. Europe is focused on a one world European nation, socialist, ran by technocrats up there in Belgium. You know, these people are insane over there. Sweden, gone, forget it. These countries are done. They're going to bring Islam right down their throats. And then they're doing right now in the United Kingdom, they're forcing even 4-year-old little girls to wear these burqa junk things. That is insane, folks. Why Islam? Why are the elites and Luciferians allowing Islam to be the dominant? Because Islam is the ultimate army of control. Don't listen to me. I'll cut your hand off, mutilate your genital. I will take you out. That's Islam for you. So Europe has been so focused on this one world European nation, and the United States has been focused on maintaining the NATO presence and the one world hegemony. We kind of lost sight that the East has been building up an empire of financial control systems. And I know this seems macro. It does. When I say macro, it's big. It's a big idea. but it's all factual. Now, some of that stuff is obviously just my straight opinion, but I could take Islam down anytime I want. Still, I have free speech. But our focus is wrong. And because we have not been seen, it's almost like a magician. Look over here while I'm fleecing up here, right? This is what's been taking place to our financial system, our dollar, our way of life, hence our standard of living, you see. Now, I know where the gold price sits. Here's gold 1997 to 2017. If you've noticed, on the very left, it's a flat line. It's a nice flat line. And then we had the financial crisis and went straight up. Of course, gold's been up literally, what's like 700% from that low. So it's been a wonderful increase, but it took a flat line. Now, in all these last handful of years, gold has been kind of flat, up and down, boring, no big deal. Folks, that's just because the manipulation and the pause that we've taken in the West to try to figure out, I think, where we're getting ready to go. But that's not going to be for long. That flat line is merely a leveling of the level it's at now, where you see gold at 12, 13, 1400. That next level is dramatically higher. And it's not about gold and silver being higher. It's about the dollar going down. Here's a great example. The US dollar index 1 year parabolic trend this year alone, folks. Look at that. Parabolic, absolutely coming off that top heel. And that's just the beginning. Now, there's support right here, but that's just the beginning. So I encourage you, the signs are screaming red to, if you've been having fun in the markets, God bless you. But be cautious, get protected, get preserved. I got to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Terrorism, a volatile stock market, rising food costs, natural disasters. Every day our economy is at risk, but your assets should not be. Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked so hard to gain. Whether you have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, our accredited asset management specialists are here to support you. Call now and we'll send you urgent information regarding changes to the dollar and challenges to our economy that you need to be prepared for. Learn how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA. We can even arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or send it directly to your home. Do not delay. Call 888-747-3309 or register online at cornerstoneassetmetals.com today. Invest in precious metals and create security in your future today. Call now.
Welcome back. So I do encourage, real quick before I get going, I encourage you to go to Cornerstone Asset Metals on Facebook. Like them on Facebook. I know they're developing into where, a lot of people send out newsletters. They're going to be doing postings on Facebook that are going to be very legitimate postings of things that are taking place in the world. You're probably not hearing in mainstream, that's for sure, but you're going to want to know. And if you like them on Facebook, from my understanding, I'm not a real social media guy, even though I have to do a little bit. I'm on Twitter, and I do just pertinent things out there mostly. But I know that when you're in the Facebook doing that, and there's a posting done on a really relevant article, then you get it in your Facebook timeline, I think it is. I just know that's pretty good stuff. So I just encourage you, go to Cornerstone Asset Metals and like them, be part of that, because you'll like what information they're going to be delivering going forward. I know most of them. I know Wealth Transfer Ministry is here. We're new to it as well. Even myself with Twitter, we're very new. So, we haven't really gotten into it much. Not really, like I said, much of a social media guy. I think they're pretty much the Antichrist tool, but I figured, you know what, let's use the Antichrist for our benefit, right? So we're going into showing you a little more on the gold, and I've been getting into this only because there's been a shift in the physical supply. And I'm involved in refining, and I've seen a shift take place. It's very interesting. And the demand has been taken, it's all underlying. Not more than just a few weeks ago, somebody tried cornering the physical market. And one day they took over 69% of the physical supply for the year. Somebody is looking for the physical. For what reason, I don't know. Either someone who's really smart because they know it's going to explode, or it's one of these banks that are doing the derivative shorts, manipulation on the silver pricing, and they're covering their rear ends with the physical because if it gets put to them, they're going to need that physical or they're in a lot of trouble. So I don't know who it was, but something shifted. And so I kind of want to bring it out because all I know is many people thought it would be 10, 15 years down the road before China's a real impact. I'm here to tell you it's a lot quicker than you think. And I wouldn't be surprised if it could be any time with right now. Nah, didn't happen. But it could be any time in the sense that we could wake up tomorrow and this thing's dominoed out. And I mean this global realignment, this shifting of valuation, whether it be because of war or a banking system collapse or any kind of integral system downgrade. But look at this, for instance, now. According to the quarterly report on U.S. banks and trading derivatives activity, there was a record $43 billion in precious metal contracts in the first quarter of 2017. Look at that staggering number there on the right. You see the bar. That's how much they've been sitting on the price. And look at this next one. A little bit of time left, so I want to sneak this in here. The U.S. banks hold a record $34 trillion in notional FX and gold contracts quarter 1 2017. Folks, I can't even begin to tell you. If you can calculate 34 trillion and understand that that has been what's been controlling this stock market and financial system to late, this year alone, the central banks have purchased $2 trillion in stock market shares and bonds, and mainly stock market shares like ETFs and such. Last year, it was just over $1 trillion. So if everything's so good in the economy, if everything's booming, why did the central banks buy additional $1 trillion in ETFs and stocks? I talked to my financial colleagues and advisor colleagues, ones that I can actually tolerate, and because they believe they're on the same page. You know, we kind of groove in. I help them understand things, and we kind of groove together. But when I told him that, and he said, "My God, Terry, $2 trillion. If the central banks, which by the way are printing this out of thin air, that means nothing, are buying $2 trillion worth of equities. If they did not do that, you would not see the stock market where it is today. Do you think that's going to keep going forever? You better pray." So I encourage you folks, pray, get serious, get protected, and get preserved. Get with us on Facebook, like Cornerstone. You're going to like the information you're getting. May God bless each and every one of you tonight. And may He bless your thoughts, wisdom, and understanding. In Jesus' name, take care.